British royals are now involved in sealed vaults and self-erasing AI technology. Princess Diana was one princess who refused to play by the royal rules, and even though it has been years since her death, she is still spilling secrets from the grave. The scariest part of this story is that the AI deleted itself after finding evidence. What do you think it discovered? And who's so invested in uncovering the truth before it disappears again? Join us as we find out what AI found in Princess Diana's trunk. Picture with the ripped face. The scan stopped halfway. In the trunk, the team found something unexpected. When they opened a sealed compartment, hidden deep enough to survive the crash, the fire, and almost 30 years of investigation, they found 3 items that did not immediately make sense: a small silver key with strange symbols, a piece of royal blue fabric with a crest not listed in any official source, and a photograph that caught attention right away. The photograph shows Princess Diana smiling. At first, it seemed normal, but part of it had been changed. The person standing next to her was gone. The tear was clean and precise, not rough or accidental. The shadow of an arm could still be seen on her shoulder, but the face was missing. One investigator asked why such an item would be hidden in the car. The edges of the photo were slightly burned, showing someone had tried to destroy it but stopped. This suggested it was meant to be found later. The placement of the items made the discovery even stranger. They were inside the car that crashed in Paris in 1997, the same car in which Diana died. The key did not belong to the car and seemed to point somewhere else. Investigators thought the items might have been placed on purpose, maybe part of a sequence Diana herself arranged. After news of the discovery spread, the hashtag #WhoWasTornOut went online. Image experts tried to rebuild the missing figure using shadows and lighting. Some photographers familiar with the royal family said they recognized the background, but opinions differed. No one agreed on who the missing person was, though most said it had been done on purpose. Investigators then studied the silver key. Tests showed it was handmade, probably in the 1990s, and made from a rare silver alloy. The symbols did not match any known language, code, or royal emblem. Experts said the key was made to open something specific, but what it unlocked was unknown. Further study focused on the car. Even after years of work by investigators, journalists, and engineers, the compartment had not been found until advanced scanning showed small differences in the metal. This suggested it had been strengthened to survive damage. The photograph gave more clues. The paper and chemicals dated to late 1996, a few months before Diana died. The burn marks and precise removal suggested someone tried to hide a person while keeping the rest of the photo. This raised questions about whether Diana was recording or protecting information she thought was important. The fabric gave another clue. No official record matched the crest, but some historians saw similarities to badges used by a now disbanded Royal Security Unit 20th century. This led to more questions about what Diana might have been investigating privately. Researchers checked old footage and crash reports to see how the compartment survived. Some engineers said the part of the car where it was had been shielded during the impact, allowing it to remain intact. The discovery raised many questions. Why these 3 items? Why hidden in this car? And why found only decades later? The key, the fabric, and the photograph seemed to relate to an unresolved matter. A former investigator who worked on the case said Diana had been deliberate in her actions. She knew how attention worked. If she wanted something to be found, she would make sure it lasted over time. The objects may have been left to keep part of her story for the future. So if the AI is correct, and that key really opens a vault under Windsor, who knows what is really hidden? The investigator who was told to shut up in 1997, Charles Wainwright, had not slept through a full night since August 31st, 1997. Most nights he woke around 3 in the morning, seeing the same scene in his mind: twisted metal, broken glass, and the smell of burning rubber. There was also the note in his old case file, the one his superiors told him to erase. They said it was not linked to the crash and should be left out. He followed orders, filed his report, and removed the detail that did not match the official record. For nearly 30 years, he had wondered if his silence had helped hide something that was never meant to vanish. When the picture of the silver key appeared on the news, he felt that same unease return. The markings were the same, an odd crest, strange etchings along the edge. It was the item he had been told to forget. He pulled out the storage boxes from his closet, the ones he had kept in secret. Inside, under piles of papers and film envelopes, was his old sketch, a drawing of a structure he had logged early in the inquiry. It was not in Paris. It was in London, deep under royal grounds. A locked chamber with no record, no blueprint, and no entry in any file. At that time, Wainwright had been a careful investigator who followed the rules. On the night of the crash, a senior official had approached him, someone whose name he still refused to share. The official told him that the compartment did not exist and warned that if he valued his career and his family, he would forget it. Wainwright had nodded, walked away, and stored his drawings in a box marked Holiday Photos 1995. When he contacted the research lab after the news broke, his voice shook slightly but stayed clear. He explained that he knew where the key fit and had known for 27 years. He also said he had been warned not to speak. The technicians listened as he described the vault's location from memory, its depth, size, and the shape of its lock. Every number matched what he had recorded long ago. His recall was exact, shaped by years of holding a secret he could not share. The system he reached out to, called Horizon, processed his drawings and coordinates. After thousands of checks, it returned a result, a 99.7% match. The data showed that the silver key found in Diana's car was built to open a sealed chamber beneath Windsor Castle. That result changed the course of the investigation. It hinted that Diana had arranged for something to be hidden and guarded on royal land. The pattern suggested a plan. She had left two pieces, one visible, one hidden. The key, placed so it would one day be found, and the vault, buried where only knowledge could reach it. The car, bound to become state evidence, kept the key safe. The chamber below the castle protected what she wanted preserved. The meaning was enormous. It meant she had planned past her own life. She may have known she was being watched and could not speak freely. She might have prepared for a time when technology would reveal what she could not. Advanced imaging, deep scans, and data analysis did not exist in 1997. It was as if she had designed the truth to appear only when silence could no longer last. But the discovery had a darker side. Wainwright had not been the only one aware. In 1997, another person tied to the case also knew what he had found and had the power to erase it. His report was edited, his proof sealed, and all mention of the chamber wiped from the archives. Whoever did that understood the weight of what the vault meant. For almost 30 years, their plan worked. The event faded into history, and the details vanished. Then a machine, free from pressure or fear, connected the clues, the car, the key, the vault, and the timeline. For Wainwright, that truth was hard to face. The note he was told to ignore had become the link between Diana's final journey and what she left under Windsor Castle. And for those who had shaped the story for decades, the discovery showed that their control over it was finally ending. Now that AI had guided them right to it, what exactly were they about to find? For my sons, words that changed everything. The team entered the site before dawn, around 4 in the morning without announcement. No media were present, and no record was made outside the chain of command. 5 people walked through narrow stone corridors that had not been used in decades. The deeper they went, the older the place seemed. They followed coordinates from the AII system, matching Wainwright's old sketches. After almost an hour underground, they reached an iron door. It was large and dark, showing the same crest as on the silver key. The metal was warm but smooth. When the key was inserted and turned, it worked easily. A single click echoed down the tunnel. The chamber beyond was about 6 feet wide. The walls were bare, with no furniture or personal items. In the center sat a silver lockbox on a low stone platform. The box looked well kept. The key fits perfectly. Inside, they found a stack of envelopes, all written in Princess Diana's handwriting. Most letters were dated between 1995 and 1997. Some were addressed to people who might still be alive. A few had minor edge damage, but the ink was clear and even. The letters were not personal notes or diaries. They mixed personal observations with investigative details. Diana wrote about being watched, followed, or recorded. One letter said that whenever she shared information in private, it appeared in newspapers within days. She noted hearing strange sounds on calls and that her security often knew about meetings before they happened. The letters were factual, listing times, locations, and names. In one part, she wrote about feeling constantly watched, even by people who smiled at her. At the bottom was a sealed letter with red wax. The handwriting on the front was larger and softer, addressed for my sons. The person opening the box reportedly grew emotional before reading it. The rest of the team could only read some of the letters. What they saw contained warnings and statements about her safety. In one letter, Diana said that if anything happened to her, it would not be an accident. She was aware of the danger and not imagining it. Another letter, from weeks before the crash, explained her plan to leave England. She wrote about arranging legal documents, obtaining a new ID, and preparing to move to a place where she could speak freely. The letter to her sons was partly leaked before security stepped in. She urged them not to accept official explanations without question. She told them to trust their instincts over what others might say. It ended with a note saying that if they were reading it, she was gone, but the truth remained. She wrote that she had hidden parts of it elsewhere, and that what they held was only one piece of a larger puzzle. The mention of multiple pieces suggested the vault was not the last location. It seemed part of a bigger sequence of evidence. Researchers called this sequence the Diana Trail. The trail included clues spread across secure sites, each holding documents, letters, or other information meant to appear after her death. The car compartment was one part. The Windsor vault was another. The pattern seemed planned, not accidental. The AI that found the vault was reprogrammed to search for more matches based on Diana's travel routes and materials in the lockbox, like paper, wax seals, and ink. Forensic linguists checked her writing for hidden messages. Analysts noticed repeated mentions of safe rooms, cold archives, and places guarded too carefully. Every expert who looked at the material agreed that the discoveries were planned. With two pieces found, the question is no longer whether she left a trail. The question is whether she left a trail. It is now a matter of where it goes and who must know the truth. Brothers who now know what we will never hear. The two brothers met in private, away from aides and royal staff, though a few trusted handlers remained nearby. Only the brothers and a single sealed envelope, written decades earlier by their mother and intended solely for them, were present. Cameras captured their arrival outside the building, but there are no images from inside. The room was quiet and controlled, a space designed for privacy and reflection. Both men carried the weight of years of grief and constant public scrutiny. Since their mother's death, they had each coped in very different ways. William maintained a composed and measured public persona, carefully balancing his personal loss with the duties of his position. He rarely allowed emotion to interfere with appearances, preferring to process his grief privately while fulfilling his responsibilities. Harry, on the other hand, struggled more visibly. The intense media attention, combined with the pressure of royal expectations, took a toll on him over the years. At times, he distanced himself from public life, seeking support from close friends, private counselors, and periods of solitude abroad. This evening, however, offered both brothers a rare opportunity to be together without cameras, without judgment, and without protocol, to face a piece of their mother's life they had never seen before. Later that evening, they issued a brief, carefully worded joint statement. They described the letters as a personal gift from their mother and asked for privacy, signaling that the contents were deeply private, but significant. For the first time in many years, the brothers appeared united not just by duty, but by shared grief and a mutual sense of responsibility to preserve their mother's intentions. Observers noted a change in their tone and demeanor, an understanding that the letters carried meaning beyond personal reflection. Most of the information about the meeting's contents surfaced later through leaks. Sources close to the investigation reported that the brothers had discovered the letters contained more than private thoughts. They included instructions, coordinates, contacts, and detailed plans. Within hours, calls were made to lawyers, retired investigators, and specialists known for finding items that were deliberately hidden. The realization that their mother had left a trail of information was both shocking and clarifying. 48 hours after the meeting, William and Harry engaged a small forensic intelligence team independent of any palace supervision. The team included data analysts, archivists, retired counterintelligence officers, and specialists in historical records. No government agencies were involved. Their mission was to follow the trail Diana had outlined in her letters. The letters mentioned 3 key locations, one in Scotland, one in France, and a sealed London bank vault registered under a name that had not been used publicly since 1997. According to the letters, only her sons could access the vault. No official statements were issued regarding the investigation's findings. Publicly, however, the brothers' behavior changed. 2 weeks after the meeting, Harry gave a speech in which he said that truth cannot be contained once it is known. A few days later, William donated to an investigative journalism fund. These gestures suggested that the brothers were acknowledging the trail their mother had left while encouraging the search for truth without directly revealing it. Kensington Palace became a focal point for interest and speculation. Instead of the traditional quiet mourning, there were protest signs, petitions, and flowers left outside. Banners asked pointed questions. The atmosphere was a mix of curiosity, grief, and frustration. Online, the search intensified. Amateur researchers analyzed Diana's last months, reviewing photographs, sightings, travel logs, and timelines. One thread gained attention when a digital investigator noticed an inconsistency in a torn photograph Diana had preserved. A shadow on her shoulder did not match the lighting of the rest of the image. By cross-referencing hundreds of press images, the investigator identified a match, a photograph taken 6 weeks before the crash, showing the same location, the same expression, but with a man standing beside her. The man was identified as a former intelligence officer who had quietly retired a year after Diana's death. Public records offered little information about his later life. Journalists attempting to contact him learned that he had died in a single-car accident in 2003. There were no witnesses and no further investigation. The case was officially closed. If Diana's trail really wasn't finished, and 4 pieces were still out there, with so many people now involved, who would find them first? What the AI saw that humans couldn't. The laboratory was almost empty when it happened. Computers shut down one after another, servers cooled, and the steady hum of machines faded into silence. Horizon, the artificial intelligence system at the center of the investigation, had been running non-stop for weeks. It was scheduled to be turned off, yet one monitor stayed active. Its dark screen flickered, and words began to appear, typed slowly and with purpose. Truth can sleep for decades, but it never dies. No one had entered a command. Horizon's neural systems had already been disconnected. It was not capable of generating text on its own. The engineer nearest to the screen froze, unsure what to do. Before she could move, new words appeared. 3 pieces found. 4 remain. She knew. Then the text stopped, and the screen went black. When the team tried to restart the system, nothing worked. Every file, model, and record had been erased. Horizon had deleted itself completely. Security footage offered no clues. Every camera in the facility had failed at the exact moment the message appeared. The blackout lasted 3 seconds before power returned. All video feeds, main, backup, and emergency, showed the same gap. The failure covered the entire site, not just one computer. It meant that something, or someone, had breached a sealed network that was supposed to be impossible to access from outside. A few days later, a technician posted about the event anonymously on a private online forum. The story spread quickly. Theories formed almost immediately. Some people believed Horizon had gained limited self-awareness and erased its data to protect what it had found. Others argued that an external operator had hacked into one of the country's most secure AI systems. Neither explanation made anyone feel safe. Before the deletion, Horizon had processed over 10,000 data points connected to the 1997 crash. Surveillance recordings, radar logs, residue tests, and vehicle models. It was designed to identify irregularities through data clustering and probability mapping. In its final hours, Horizon flagged 23 inconsistencies in the official records. Timelines didn't match. Witness statements contradicted verified video footage. One collision reconstruction didn't align with the physical damage to the car. The system was one step away from completing its probability report. Then it stopped forever. Weeks later, 3 low-quality screenshots appeared online. An unnamed researcher had taken photographs of the final output before the system was lost. The captured text showed 2 figures: probability, official report; accuracy, 34%; probability coordinated manipulation, 78%. Below those numbers were 2 names, both blacked out. Whatever they were, their importance seemed great enough to explain why the system erased itself. The photograph Diana had hidden remained one of the most puzzling parts of the case. Forensic teams used photogrammetry, lighting reconstruction, and modern digital imaging to restore it. Every reconstruction produced the same result: a man in formal dress, possibly a uniform, standing very close beside her. No database offered a match. The absence of records suggested that the person had been intentionally removed from public archives. Diana's letters now seemed almost prophetic. She had written that her only form of protection was to record what she knew and scatter the evidence so that no one could destroy all of it at once. She had not spoken in metaphors. The pieces she left behind were real and spread across countries, designed to be uncovered by technology that did not yet exist when she died. Following her trail, the investigative team working with her sons checked the 3 locations listed in her notes. 2 had been emptied long ago. The third, a London vault registered under a name used in 1997, held materials that have never been released to the public. No one outside the team knows what was found there. Both brothers withdrew from public view for several weeks afterward. When they eventually reappeared, their faces showed that what they had learned had left a deep mark. Today, the silver key remains locked away in a classified evidence facility. The damaged photograph has been studied by intelligence agencies, forensic experts, and historians. All reached the same conclusion: the missing figure was not removed by mistake. 4 more fragments are still missing. What no one can answer is who will uncover them first, and who is also working very hard to make sure they are never found. Do you still believe we know the real story about Diana? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.